Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tower of God New World. Now, in today's video, we are going to check out the updated tier list for the brand new collab characters. So, if you guys don't know, I'm not going to use the Pride One tier list to pretty much implement these new collab characters because, the Pride One tier list, it's kind of iffy. It's lacking a lot, and we're just going to use it as a format so that you guys can have a better understanding as to what I'm talking about. I'm just going to explain once I put the characters in their own respective tier using this tier list maker. So first things first, a couple characters I want to talk about. I mean, I already talked about them on my recent video covering the Pride One tier list, but let me just say it one more time. For White, I believe that White, he should not be an A tier, especially if you don't have a lot of copies on him. I feel like he should be S tier minimum because he is a very powerful warrior character. He is the strongest warrior character in the game, and he has the highest multipliers. And the fact that he is the fact that you don't have to invest in his revolution makes him really good because revolution investment is really expensive, and he is a really, how can I say this, he's a very revolution friendly character. You don't have to invest in his sub nodes, you just have to invest in his tier 4 and 5 and you're good to go. So I will say White definitely belongs in that S tier. He doesn't belong in that A tier. He's not on the same level as a Kaseya and Joaquin with like low rev investment. He definitely belongs in that S tier minimum. And then of course with Adventure Rev 6, I believe with Rev 6 he's SS tier because he's the strongest warrior in the game, and putting him in the same tier as a Hayura and Karaka, with it just doesn't sit right with me. So I believe that White definitely belongs in that SS tier when you fully invest in his kit. So that's like the only character I wanted to go over. There are other characters, but I already went over them multiple times, so I'm not going to do it again. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the collab units. So we have Ejin and we have 003. So the first character I want to talk about is 003. So for 003, if we come back over here to characters, I'm pretty sure they have her details right here, her kit details. There it is. So 003, this unit is a very strong support unit, very, very strong. And one of the main things I like about this character is that her ultimate allows her to stay alive. Like, it pretty much increases her overall survivability because she cannot die when she pops her ultimate, which is really good. But I will say she's a really strong support character, but she only works in one specific element, which is red element. If you don't put her in a red element team, you're not going to receive her full value. Like, you're not going to see her at her max potential because she can only, she can mostly buff characters who are red elements. So if you look at her, like for her revolution tier 5, she has like a 200% attack increase, but that only applies to red element allies. And then she also has a red element resistant shred, which is really good by like 50%, but that's only for red element allies. And then the swiftness and the lifesteal buff, this applies to every unit. This is a universal buff, so I will say her active skill check is a universal buff for every character in the game. But when it comes to her passive, and I'll say when it comes to her passive, that's the only thing that's restricted to red element and her revolution tier 5. And then for Desperado, this is also universal because it's just a defense shred. And then for her ultimate, that just benefits herself. But one thing that I noticed is that some people are putting attack speed set on her because they want her to pretty much instantly, activate the passive, because it says right here, her basic attack ignores enemies in its path to the attack target. Enemies hit by 003's attacks become distracted, decreasing their defense by 50%. So, some people put attack speed on her so that she can, build up that defense shred instantly so that, the enemy will receive more damage. And if you have a revolution tier 5, you'll be able to, immediately receive that 200% attack increase thanks to the attack speed buff that she receives from attack speed set. Now, me personally, I prefer Rafflesia instead because Rafflesia allows her to spam her ultimate that she can, have more survivability. So I think Rafflesia is way better than attack speed set. Attack speed set is decent, but I feel like Rafflesia is way better because, she's a support character. And, some people said that her damage is good, but honestly, I don't think her damage is that great. Maybe that's just me, but her damage is just not enough for me. It's not trauma ray level, and I would rather, focus on her support capabilities and amplify that so that my team can benefit from that. I don't want to make her, like a DPS character because, it's just not my playstyle. It depends on what type of playstyle you want for this character. If you want it to be a damage dealing unit, you want to go for attack speed stat. But if you want pure support, go for a fleece. So overall, 003, very powerful support character. But like I said, her kit is limited to red element characters only. So when we take a look at, the Pride 1 tier list, once again, we're not going to follow this, but we're going to use this as an example. You guys can see that in S+ tier, we have Albelda, Princess Snock, and Evankel. And I will say for Albelda, the thing that makes Albelda way better than 003 is that Albelda pretty much works in every single team comp. You can put her with any DPS unit in the game. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that 003 belongs in that S tier, because Albelda works with any character, and you don't have to put her in just a red element team in order for you to receive Albelda's full value. You can put her with any DPS unit, and she's going to make that DPS unit broken as hell. Meanwhile, for 003, it's like, okay, you have to put her in a red element team so that you can get that red element resistance shred, and in order for you to benefit, in order for her to really, use that 200% attack increase, she has to be in a red element team so that she can buff up red element DPS units by like 200% because of her Revolution tier 5. So I will say her kit is holding her back to just one element, so therefore she belongs in that S tier. I promise you, if her kit wasn't restricted to just one element, she would definitely be in that S+ tier for sure. Like, she would definitely be in that S+ tier because, the 200% attack increase is really nice. The defense shred is really, really good. The resistance shred, like, imagine if like her passive, instead of it just being red element resistance shred, it was like an all elemental resistance shred where like every element receives, a resistance shred. It's just not restricted to red element. That would have been broken as fuck. So I will say the only thing that's holding her back is her kit, and that she's limited to just red elements. So therefore, I feel like she definitely belongs in that S tier. Like, she is definitely higher than Gia for sure. Definitely higher than Gia, because Gia, the only thing that makes Gia really good is her red element attack increase at the start of the battle, which benefits Albelda. But other than that, I feel like 003 is 10 times better than Gia. So if I can actually find Gia around here, there she is. I would still put Gia A tier, right? I will still put her A tier, but of course, once you get Gia's Revolution, I think tier 5, she pretty much increases her attack. She increases the attack buff by like 80%, so she will go to S tier as well. So I think 003 is way better than Albelda. She has more buffs, defense shred. She can do way more than Gia. But putting 003 in S+ tier would pretty much mean that, she's on the same level as Albelda, which is just not true. So I think putting 003 in S tier is a good spot, unless I would put, Albelda. I would put Albelda on top. Like, I would put Albelda first in S+ tier, and then I'll put 003 behind her. I think that would be pretty solid, but I think S tier is a good spot for her. And if you don't have her Revolution tier 4 and 5, I still think she belongs in that S tier due to the fact that, her kit is really good without copy. Like, if you don't have her maxed out, you're still cooking with this character. So for up to Rev 3 category, she still belongs in S tier. And then for Adventure F6, she still belongs in the S tier. So overall, 003, she's just a really, really good unit. And, I definitely recommend you guys to, invest in this character because she is a good support character for Red Element. Now, for the next character, we have Ejin. So Ejin is an SSR plus warrior unit. So I will say for Ejin, he is a very solid unit due to the fact that he can deal really solid damage. But once again, he is a situational unit where, like, if you don't put him in a red element team, he's going to suffer a lot. And the reason why is because of his passive. So you guys can see right here, it says Ejin's bond with his comrades increases his attack by 40% for every red element ally in the team at the start of the battle. This just implies that you have to put him in a red element team so that you can increase his attack by a lot. And if the allies die, he's going to receive a physical pierce increase. So putting him in a team where you have, let's say, 003, Gia, Albelda, and Princess Anak, I think that's like the best team for him because these characters are really squishy. I will say 003, she's only squishy if you can't, spam her ultimate. If you can't spam her ultimate, she's gonna die. So putting Ejin in a very squishy team is the best way to go because you're going to increase his physical pierce. And he is a very tanky warrior character. He can pretty much survive on his own thanks to the damage taken decrease. You guys can see right here, it says his damage taken decreases by 20% for every surviving ally other than himself, which is really good. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that Ejin, the fact that he only works in like one specific element, I'm going to have to put Ejin, like when we take a look at the S+ tier characters, right? We take a look at S+ tier, we pretty much have, Kunadan, we have Evan Kell, we have all of these units, right? I'm going to say that Ejin definitely belongs in that S tier. And like I said, the reason why is because he is a situational unit where like you have to put him in a specific team comp in order for him to work. I feel like a character who belongs in, like, I feel like S+ tier is for characters who can work in any team. And when you take a look at the S+ tier characters, and once again, I'm not using Pride Win as, like, I'm not going to use Pride Win as an example here. I'm just going to show you guys, like, when you take a look at S+ tier characters, it's mostly characters who work in any team comp. SSR plus Yua, Universal Healer, Punisher Rin. I'll say Punisher Rin, he's a pretty solid damage dealing unit, but of course his damage, the amount of damage he deals falls over time, especially when you progress even more in the game. So I will say he's mostly useful for the magic resistance shred. Tank and Dorsey, Universal unit. Kaiser, Universal character. Garam, Universal. Princess Anak, another Universal unit. Evan Kell, Universal DPS. Baraka, same thing for him. Hayura. Now Hayura, you can use her in some teams, but she's mostly effective in purple team comp. So I will say Hayura is an exception. Evan, Universal. Kunadan, Universal. And Bomb, he's kind of universal. So S+ tier is mostly for universal units, and the fact that Ejin is not a universal DPS unit, you have to put him in red element. I don't think he deserves that S+ tier spot. If his kit wasn't restricted to red element, I would definitely put Ejin in S+ tier because he has great survivability and his damage, like when all of your allies die, he deals pretty insane damage. Like the fact that he's able to solo at some high def, like the fact that he's able to solo at pretty high deficits is like that's an impressive feat. So Ejin, really solid warrior character. And once again, the fact that he is a warrior unit, you already know warrior characters, they automatically have a debuff because of their revolution sub nodes. The fact that his kit makes up for that fact makes him a very revolution friendly character. You don't have to invest in his sub nodes because he already gets a ton of attack increase in his kit, and he gets a lot of attack through his revolution tier 4 and 5. I'm pretty sure for his tier 4, he lands guaranteed crit hits if he attacks enemies who are bleeding, and for his tier 5 he gets like a huge attack increase. So Ejin, definitely solid DPS unit, but I think he still belongs in that S tier because he is a situational unit and he doesn't work in every single team comp. Like for example, we have the new white steel ill boss, right? The best team for that would be white, purple element characters. Some people said, is Ejin going to be good for the new white steel ill boss? And the answer is no. And the reason why is because if you're going to use Ejin, you're going to have to use him with red element characters, and you can't really do that against the white steel ill boss because you have to use purple element units. So it's situations like that where, that pretty much holds Ejin back when you're trying to use him in any other game mode in the game, like against bosses, stuff like that, because you have to put him in a red element team in order for you to receive his full value, like in order for you to see him at his max potential. So his kit is holding him back with red element, but other than that, if you put him in a red element team, his performance is definitely goated. Like he is a very powerful warrior DPS unit. White is still on top. Of course, White, he is still on top. literally the best warrior character in the game because he is a universal warrior DPS unit. He's not restricted to just one team comp, which makes white a very powerful unit. So Ejin belongs in that S tier. You know, some people might disagree with me, but that's totally fine. We all have our own opinions. But I feel like for S plus tier, it's mostly for universal characters. And then for S tier, it's for characters who are situational. And if you put them in a specific team comp, they perform very, very well. So that's pretty much the updated tier list. I mean, when we take a look at Princess Anak, I mean, Princess Anak still S plus tier because, you know, he's a universal unit. So I think that's a really valid explanation on my part. S plus tier is for top tier universal characters, and then S tier is for situational characters that perform very well in their own respective team comp. I think that's like the best explanation I can give to you guys when it comes to the different ranks. And then for A tier, it's for units who are, you know, they're really good, but units who are on S tier and above just perform way better than them. So yeah, that's pretty much updated tier list. Hey, that was a pretty solid explanation. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. That was actually kind of goated on my part. But yeah, that's it. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below about these new collab units. You guys agree, disagree? Share your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. But yeah, hope you guys have a good one. I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Peace.